just a quick lesson for everyone. This was a quick, an excellent experience to show you on a trade because yesterday, I should say on Tuesday night when you did the getting started, you learned about a pattern that I mentioned about specific gaps. And the next day, light triggered, which was exactly what we're talking about, the concept that I divulged, and said it was worth the entire course, and it was in my case. So I'm going to explain the light trade really quickly. I mentioned in the class there's something called a screw bar, and you'll notice that in this case, light closed at the exact bottom of the prior day low. Right at the close, it was like literally painted at the absolute low. Horrible bar, very bearish looking. And so shorts are very comfortable and longs are fairly decimated and feeling worried that this is not working any longer. And yesterday morning, you'll note that I looked at the prior day's high, which was 52.70. And pre-market, it was trading just over 52.70. And I want to see the stock open literally within fractions of a percent right over that prior day's high in this case. I want everyone trapped in that prior bar. I want them to be worried that if they're short, that they're now trapped and they need to get rid of it. If they're long and sold it, I want them to realize they've just been had. And I want them to be trapped. And in essence, when it opened, this one wasn't perfect. It actually opened a little high. It opened a little over 53. And I said, oh man, this wasn't a perfect gap. So in a perfect world, if it had opened at 52.71 or something, I probably would have just hit enter on an order and used a stop of 30, 50 cents and said, forget it, I have to try. But in this case, it was a little bit more complex and a good learning experience. It kept a little high, just slightly too high. And so I waited. It started to come down. And while I don't watch 5-minute charts, and I'm showing one here, I use a 30-minute chart and I saw the little closing dot on that bar come underneath the prior day's high where I was looking, 52.70, and it stopped and then it jammed right back past that prior day's high. And what I did was I immediately put in an order for long, just over 52.70. And I said, okay, stop, low of day. And the idea here is that if that pattern hold, it was 30 cents risk approximately. And I do my simple math, 30 cents times 5, $1.50. And I look to the left and see, do I have room for $1.50 before I hit major resistance or hit a major hurdle, as I mentioned in the class and in the videos? And the answer is there were none. And so as you can see, same day, first day of the trade, the magenta line here is where I hit the formula of 5 to 1. And at that point, I suggest to you probably make it simple and sell half. And now you have a free swing trade where you're long with no risk. You've already banked profits, so you can get over the fact that this is a winner. It is a winning stock. And now you ride for free. And in this first day, this trade paid 7 times your risk in this move at the close. It was 7 times what you risked. So in theory, you have to understand the reason why math matters is because I didn't need to be right even half the time on this entry for it to be profitable. I could have been wrong and I would have simply said, okay, next. And the reason I can afford to be wrong is the simple math of this trade provided significantly more gain than risk. And so I could afford on the next one to take another 30-cent risk, even a second time. The idea here is to get to the point where the winners are largely outsizing a losing trade so that you can afford to have a bad streak, even be wrong 75% of the time, but your account maintains itself. And the equity curve may roll flat. The equity curve may not stay angled up at one point when you're really struggling, but it won't be pointed down. That's the goal. And so yesterday you can see 7 times whatever you risked. If you risked 1,000, you would have been up 7,000 at the end of the day if you had held. Now, in my case, again, I sell when it hits 5 to 1. So you would have been 5 times whatever that risk is. So 1,000 for 5,000. And the other half of that you wouldn't have collected. So you would have collected half. And the remaining you're now at risk to find out what happens next. I hope this makes sense. This was a screw bar entry. This is exactly why I have the NDA is, this 200-day gap over specialty entry is very good. It gives you a very good entry to a potential nice swing that could occur for the stock. Even if the swing fails today, it doesn't matter. You entered properly, so you're profitable no matter what. Hope this makes sense. Again, this is a screw bar, so you remember it, and I'll send more material as we get it. Thanks.